It's easy to assume that drinking soda is just a habit that never changed. Something carried over from childhood, something simple, even insignificant. But if you look closer, there's a pattern. While many people gradually move away from sugary, highly stimulating drinks as they grow older, some don't. Not because they don't know better. Not because they haven't tried alternatives. But because something about it still works for them. And psychologically, that something is rarely just about taste. There's a certain kind of adult who doesn't just drink soda occasionally. They keep returning to it. It becomes part of their routine, their comfort, even their identity in subtle ways. And while it might seem like a small preference, it often reflects deeper patterns in how they regulate emotion, seek stimulation, and maintain familiarity in their daily life. At its core, soda consumption is closely tied to reward sensitivity. Sugary drinks activate the brain's reward system quickly and reliably. The combination of sweetness, carbonation, and caffeine creates a fast, noticeable shift in energy and mood. For individuals who continue to prefer soda into adulthood, this immediate reward becomes more than just enjoyable. It becomes predictable. And predictability is psychologically powerful. When something consistently produces a small boost in mood or energy, the brain begins to rely on it. This creates a pattern of external regulation. Instead of allowing mood and energy to fluctuate naturally, there is a tendency to adjust them through stimulation. Feeling low energy? Drink soda. Feeling mentally slow? Drink soda. Over time, this creates an association between the drink and the ability to function at a desired level. It is not necessarily dependence in a clinical sense, but it is a learned shortcut, one that the brain begins to prefer. Another important factor is emotional comfort. For many people, soda is not just a beverage, it is a familiar experience. The taste, the sensation, even the sound of opening it can trigger a sense of familiarity. And familiarity often links back to earlier life stages. For some individuals, this creates a subtle connection to a time when life felt simpler or more predictable. Drinking soda becomes less about the present moment and more about maintaining a consistent emotional baseline. This is where nostalgia plays a role. People who continue to enjoy soda may have a stronger attachment to sensory memories. The brain tends to associate certain tastes and experiences with specific emotional states. When those states are positive, the behavior that triggers them is more likely to be repeated. This does not mean they are consciously trying to relive the past. It means their brain has learned that this experience carries a certain emotional tone, and it keeps returning to it. There is also a connection to stimulation preference. Soda is not a neutral drink. It is designed to be intense, sweet, fizzy, sometimes caffeinated. People who are drawn to it often have a higher tolerance, or even a preference, for strong sensory input. They are less satisfied with neutral or subtle experiences. This can extend beyond beverages. It may influence how they consume media, how they seek entertainment, and how they engage with daily routines. There is a tendency toward quick, noticeable shifts rather than gradual changes. Another trait that often appears is time compression, the feeling that there is not enough time or energy to slow down. In fast-paced environments, small sources of quick energy become valuable. Soda provides an immediate lift without requiring preparation or delay. For individuals who operate under constant time pressure, this convenience becomes part of the appeal. It fits into a lifestyle that prioritizes speed and efficiency over long-term optimization. There is also a behavioral reinforcement loop at play. Each time soda leads to a slight increase in alertness or mood, the association strengthens. The brain does not evaluate long-term consequences in the moment. It responds to immediate outcomes. Over time, this creates a pattern where the behavior feels justified because it works. Even if the effect is temporary, it is enough to reinforce repetition. Interestingly, people who continue to prefer soda often have a different relationship with self-regulation. Instead of strictly limiting certain behaviors, they may allow more flexibility in small indulgences. This does not necessarily indicate a lack of discipline. In some cases, it reflects a different prioritization. They may focus discipline on larger areas of life while allowing minor habits to remain unchanged. Soda becomes one of those controlled exceptions. However, this flexibility can also create blind spots. Because the behavior feels small and familiar, it is less likely to be questioned. It becomes normalized, even when it no longer serves a clear purpose. This is how habits persist, not because they are actively chosen, but because they are rarely examined. There is also an emotional rhythm associated with this behavior. The temporary boost from soda is often followed by a gradual decline in energy. This creates a subtle cycle: lift, then drop, then lift again. Over time, this cycle can shape how individuals perceive their own energy levels. Instead of experiencing a steady baseline, they become accustomed to fluctuations. This can reinforce the habit further, as each drop increases the likelihood of seeking another boost. From a cognitive perspective, this pattern reflects a preference for immediate solutions over delayed ones. Adjusting sleep, nutrition, or stress levels requires time and consistency. Drinking soda produces a faster effect. For individuals who prioritize immediate functionality, this trade-off feels reasonable. The long-term cost is less visible than the short-term benefit. Another subtle trait is identity reinforcement. Over time, preferences become part of how people see themselves. "I'm someone who likes soda" may seem trivial, but it influences behavior. When a habit becomes part of identity, it is less likely to change. It is no longer just something they do. It is something that feels consistent with who they are. There is also a social element. In many contexts, soda is associated with relaxation, breaks, or casual enjoyment. It is present in social settings, routines, and daily pauses. This reinforces its role as more than just a drink. It becomes part of how individuals structure small moments of relief throughout the day. However, like many habits driven by immediate reward, this pattern can become automatic. The decision to drink soda is no longer fully conscious. It is triggered by context. Certain times of day, certain environments, or certain emotional states can activate the behavior without deliberate thought. This is how habits stabilize. They move from choice to routine. It is important to recognize that continuing to enjoy soda as an adult is not inherently negative. The psychological traits associated with it, seeking reward, valuing familiarity, preferring immediate energy, are not flaws. They are tendencies. The impact depends on how these tendencies are managed and balanced within a broader lifestyle. What matters is awareness. Understanding why the habit exists changes how it is experienced. It shifts it from something automatic to something intentional. The individual can choose to keep it, adjust it, or replace it, but the choice becomes conscious rather than conditioned. Ultimately, people who still like drinking soda as adults are not just holding on to a simple preference. They are expressing a pattern in how they regulate energy, respond to reward, and maintain familiarity in their daily life. And once you understand that, the habit stops looking random. It starts looking structured. Because behind something as simple as a drink, there is often a system, a set of psychological patterns that quietly shape behavior over time. And soda just happens to fit perfectly into that system.